Hello and welcome everybody to my second part of my Raidou breakdown / guide for DOA6. Last time we started the series with his safe moves. Now we are going to look at his unsafe moves. And yeah, before I go on, I want to thank you everybody for the support. We hit 20 subscribers on YouTube now, and that makes me very happy. I can see that my content entertains people. So, and I will obviously try my best to become better. And let's see where we're gonna go, how far I will grow, how much people I will pique their interest with my content, with my Raidou. So, yeah, let's go, I would say. So, we start by saying Raidou is a difficult character, but he's also a character who's pretty bare bones. He doesn't have a single stance, and he's limited to 64 moves in this game. 64 moves is not a lot, and his moves or his unsafe stuff are 44. So he has 44 unsafe moves. That's the double amount of we have from the safe moves, which are 22. And now you hear that he has a lot of unsafe stuff, but even though these moves are unsafe on block, some of them are viable. You will see what I'm talking about later on when I go on. So let's start with the first one, which is from his jab string, which is PP. It's 11 frames, -8 on block, and it's a high, and it doesn't track. So the next one is going to be PPPP. This one here, it's 18 frames, the last hit there. It's -12 on block, and it doesn't track. On normal hit, it will put you on a lift stun, and on counter hit, the last hit there will launch. So the next one is the full jab string, or the full punch strings. As you can see, it's the last hit there's 29 frames. It's -13 on block, and it doesn't track as well, so the full string doesn't track. That means you can get sidestepped. Okay, the next one is going to be his PP6P. This year, the last hit there is 14 frames. It's -2 on block. -2 I say, -11 on block. And it's a mid, and it doesn't track. The next one is going to be the full string, which is PP6PP. And as you can see, the last hit there is 16 frames, and it's -11 on block. It's a mid, and it doesn't track. So like this one here, the full string doesn't track. Before I go on, I want to mention these two moves here, or these two last hits here, they can be charged. These moves here can be charged. So it's obvious this move, when you charge, will become safe and plus on block, and if you don't charge it, you will be unsafe. Okay, next one is PP4P, which is 14 frames the last hit there. It's minus 12 on block, and it doesn't track. So this is the first move from his jab string that has tracking ability. So if your opponent sidesteps you, this last hit here will catch them. Then we have the full string again, which is PP for PP, which is the last hit there is 50 frames. It's minus 10 on block, and it's a mid punch. Also, it doesn't track, so the tracking stops after the punch before. So this is, you have the only one moment to catch your opponent with this. So, and the full string doesn't track, only one part does track. You could still say this does track, but the tracking stops after the tracking move. Then we have PK, which is minus 13 on block. The kick there is also 17 frames. It's a mid kick, and it doesn't track. It's good when you do it in combos to wall splat your opponent, and the kick here does also hit grounded opponents. So it's a good thing, we can say, but still it's minus 13 on block. And then the next one is going to be PP6PK. It's also minus 13 on block, and it's the same kick with the PK. So also a mid kick, 17 frames and minus 13 on block, and it doesn't track. So you use this most likely as a combo ender to wall splat your opponent. Let's go on with to his next move, and this is where his jab string stops. And now we come to the tools moves you want to use. So we have 6P, it's 13 frames, it's one of his fastest moves, it's minus 10 on block, and yeah, it doesn't track, and it's mid punch. The next thing is going to be 8P, which is 16 frame mid punch. It's minus 19 on block. That's because this has this move has fatal stun properties. If your opponent is crouching and it's on counter hit, you will get a fatal stun from it, and if your opponent is crouching back turned, you will get a fatal stun without needing a counter hit. So this is minus 19. Then you have 7P, which is his headbutt. It's 15 frames, minus 10 on block, it's a mid, and it doesn't track. The good thing about this is it has range, so you can throw it from distance. The next one is going to be 4P. This is the same move from his jab string, but the difference between them is you can make this 1 frame faster from his jab string, and when you do it just normally, it's going to be 15 frames, minus 12 on block, like this, and it does track. So this is the tracking move. Then you can also add the last punch there, which is 17 frames, minus 10 on block, and it doesn't track the last hit there. So the first part here will track, but the other one won't track. And as you can see, you can also make it faster from its jab string, but when you do it normally without from the jab string, it's a little bit slower. Okay, let's go on with this 1P. It's low, it does track, and it's 22 frames with minus 16 on block. This is a low that you use to open up your opponent, and it has some range, and it has follow-ups, but still it's super minus, so low throw guaranteed. Then you have the extension, the new extension, which is 1P, 2P. It's 33 frames, minus 15 on block. It's also a low and it does track, so it's pretty good. And also you have range with those two moves combined. Okay, the next one is going to be now from his now we go to his kicks, which is just doing cape, which is 13 frames. It's minus 11 on block because also this has extensions, and it's a highest with no tracking. So that means if your opponent is crouching or sidestepping, this move will win. Now let's go with the next one, which is going to be 6K, which is one of his fastest kicks. It's 14 frames, minus 12 on block, it's a mid, and doesn't track. Then we combine this with his follow, which is the next part, which is 19 frames. It's minus 12 on block. It's also a mid, and it doesn't track. The good thing about this is it has some range, and you use this move to keep your opponent in check. The next one is going to be his 9K, which is his cartwheel flip. He doesn't have an extension, so you're stuck with this, and you're minus 13. It's a 17 frame move, and it doesn't track. The good thing about this is because you're jumping, if your opponent hits you while you were in the jumping position, you will get knocked down to the ground, and you could say you reset the situation with this. Also, a good point as well, it has range. Not crazy range, but mid-range like the other moves. Okay, the next one is going to be his 8K, which is one of his launches. And because it's a launch, it's obviously going to be minus on block. So you don't use this on guarded opponents. You will most likely use it on to launch your opponent. And yeah, it's 17 frames, minus 13 on block. It's a high, so it can, if move from your opponent has high crush abilities, this move will whiff, and it doesn't track. So the next one is going to be 7K, which is his backflip. It's a panic move, I could say. You use this as a panic move or to keep your opponent away from you when they try to rush in. It's minus 11 on block. It's a 12 frame move, like I said, and it doesn't track. Also, with like 9K, you get jumping properties. It can even crush lows, sometimes even crush mids if you time it perfectly, but yeah, you're super unsafe. So if your opponent goes for any throw, the throw will connect. And yeah, the next one is going to be basically his low kicks. 1K is a 19 frame low, which is minus 70 on block, and it does track. It's a low, like I said. Yeah, the bad thing about this is if your opponent has moves that have low crushes, this move will whiff and you use your advantage. Then we have this extension, which is 1KK, which is 18 frames. It's minus 9 on block. I could say even though it's unsafe move, you're kinda in safe area. So your opponent has to do something to throw this, or they just go for a strike, and yeah, you have 9 additional frames. But yeah, this both these have ranges, so you can throw this from mid-range, and both are tracking, and this is mid-kick, so you go low-mid, and yeah, it's a good move from low, could I say. Then you have 2K, which is his fastest low kick. It's 17 frames, it's -9 on block, and yeah, it's low, doesn't track. The problem also, I could say, with this move is it doesn't do really good damage. It does like 10 damage if I'm not mistaken on counter hit. So you use this to put your opponent in a stun on counter hit, but normally you don't throw this too much out. So now we go to 3K, which is his 15 frame mid kick, which has some range. It's -9 on block, and yeah, it doesn't track, so you're punishable. Then you have the extension, which is a 24 frame mid punch. It does also not track, and you're -11, so you're more minus when you do the full string rather than just doing the first part. Okay, the next one is going to be his next launch, which is 3K. It's a 15 frame launch. It's a good move to launch your opponent, because this is a high and this is a mid. The negative things is, yeah, it's unsafe because it's a launcher. Also, it doesn't track, so your opponent can sidestep this. And also it has jump properties, so it can crush lows. And yeah, you can also get hit out of it from airborne if I'm not mistaken. I haven't tried it, so yeah. The next one is his extension, which is also his bound. It's a 3 KP. It's a 25 frame punch, the last punch there, and that bounce your opponent. And it's -14 on block. And it has low crush properties, and it does not track. Would be, I could say this looks like a tracking move, but unfortunately it does not track, so you can get sidestepped. Okay, the next one is going to be his next launcher, which is his 623P, the Wind Guard Fist. We're not talking about the Electro, we're talking about the Wind Guard Fist, which is this here. This is the Wind Guard Fist, so it's the electric, I could say, but you didn't time it well, you were a little bit too late. But you still, it's still a 14 frame launcher. It's -11 on block, and it does not track. On normal hit, this here will give you a counter hit, and on normal hit this will give you a lift stun, and on counter hit this will launch your opponent. Okay. And don't forget, this is a high like the electric, so anybody does a high crush, this move will whip. So the next one is his last launch option, which is his 214P. This is his last launch, and as you can see, it's -12 on block. It's an 18 frame move, so it's a fast launch, I could say. It's a mid, and it does not track, even though it looks like it could track, but it doesn't track. So then you have his close hit, which is 236P. This is his close hit, which is a 14 frame move. It's -11 on block. It's it's a mid, and it doesn't track. So if you're not familiar, there is not a single close hit I've seen that does track. Maybe there are some that are special, but normally a close hit doesn't track, or a move that has close hit properties won't track. So the next one is going to be P plus K, which is a 12 frame move. It's one of his fastest moves. It's -8 on block. You can make it from distance -7. That means grapplers, not grapplers, striking characters can't punish it, but if you throw it from a normal distance, like from here, it's -8, so it can get thrown punish. It's also a high, so you have to mention that you have to keep it in mind that if your opponent does a high crush, this will whiff, and it doesn't track. So, but if you land this on normal hit or on counter hit, you will get plus 26 and put on a lift stun. So the next one is his one of his get-in moves. It's 66k. It's 25 frames, -16 on block. It's a low and does not track. The good thing about this is it has range. You can throw it like from this distance, like from here, to get in. You use this most of the time to get in, but as you can see, it's super minus, so you get thrown for it. And yeah, then we go now to his fatal stun, which is the new fatal stun he got. It's 27 frame fatal stun. No, you don't need a requirement, like for example 8p, but it's -13 on block. It does have tracking properties, and it's a mid punch, so you have some plus points with this move, but yeah, it's unsafe, and I can't say it's slow, but the good thing also is that it has range, so you can throw it from distance a little bit. So yeah, now we go to his H plus K options. You have you have just H plus K, which is the same move like this here. It has the same property, so it's not like this is faster when you do this. It's still the same move. It's -9 on block. It does track. It's a mid kick. And yeah. Then you have 4H plus K, which is -18 on block. That's because this puts you on a fatal stun if you try to sidestep, and he catches you with this. Also, it gives you a spin stun on normal hit and counter hit. Yeah, it's a 20 frame move. It does track, otherwise it wouldn't give you the fatal stun from sidesteps. So there's that. The next one is going to be 6H plus K, which is the kick from Jen Lee. It's -11 on block, and it's a 17 frame move. It's a high, as you can see, and it does not track. And to mention, you can't cancel this into a version, into a stance, whatever, because Raidou doesn't have any stances. Okay, the next one is going to be his low from H plus K, which is 2H plus K. It's a 24 frame sweeping low. It's -12 on block, and it's a low, like I said, and it does track, so it's, I could say, a good low. But yeah, it gives you +9 on block, and on counter hit, on block I say, it will give you +9 on normal hit, and on counter hit it will knock your opponent down and give you +frames. now we have also his Fatal Rush here, or the first part, better to say, Fatal Rush, which is S. It's 18 frames, minus 12 on block. It's a high. It does track. The negative thing about this is it's a high, so anybody doing a low crush will evade this, and yeah, it's minus. So then now we go to his back turned options, which is back turn K. This is a 14 frame back kick. That is a high. It does track, but the negative thing I could say is it's a high and it's minus 9 on block. The positive things I can say about this move is it does track, and it's a 14 frame kick from back turn, so it's a pretty fast one. Then you have back turned 4K, which is a 15 frame move. It's minus 13 on block, so this is 1 frame slower than his just back turn K. It does not track, even though it looks like it does track, but unfortunately it doesn't. So there is that. I mean, it has bad properties, but having still this in your back pocket can sometimes help you win a match or save your life. You guessed it. Then you have back turn 2K, which is 18 frames. It's minus 12 on block. It's a low and it does track. This move is faster than from his 2H plus K. His 2H plus K is as you did see 24 frames, and this here is 18 frames, so this is 6 frames faster than his. It even has 1 less minus frame, and it also has the 2H plus K properties. I could say, like, it's a low and it does track, so I could say this is a better option. And that's the unsafe options, unsafe moves from Raidou. As you can see, he has a lot, but the good thing I can say about these moves are some of them have ranges. You can throw them from distance. You don't have to be at your face, because if you don't know, Raidou is not specifically for close range. He's more like a mid-range character, like from this distance. You don't want to play at close range. You can make him play. You can play him at close range. He has some properties, but normally you stick to mid-range. Either way, that's going to be it. Thank you for watching, and I hope I see you in the next video. Bye.